Hello educators and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sabrina Ramlakan, the technology teacher. So today we're going to check out one of my favorite tools to use when doing online classes. And this is such an underrated tool I can't even begin to explain. Those of you who use a computer that uses Windows operating system, you probably don't even know that this application exists on your computer. But we are going to check out this tool, so let's dive straight into it. We're going to move on over to our screen and check it out. Okay, so the first thing you want to do after you boot up the computer is to pull up your search bar and type in the word paint, right? And you'll see this icon come up here, the palette with the paintbrush, so you can select it and you'll see this screen comes up here. So you can adjust your canvas to be as big or as small as you need it to be. So we'll just do this here. Okay, and you can open up like pictures. So let's say I have this Google Classroom open here and I have a picture that I want to work with, picture of a little question or something. So, and you can copy and paste it onto the document here, right? So there are different ways that we can use this. So for example, let's see how we would work this first question. Write a numeral for 97,408. Now, well, select the letter A in the toolbar above here and you can draw a text box anywhere. Now the thing about the text box is that once you have finished editing and you've exited the text box, there's no coming back to it. So make sure that you're satisfied with what is happening in the text box before you close it off. Okay, so 97,408 would be like that. Now we could have text and we could change the text as well. So right now it's on impact, so I find that's a little bit bold. It's a little bit too big, so I can change the font. I can change the size of the font. I can take off the bolding of the font so it'll look like that and it'll look a little bit better. I can even change the color of the font by coming to the color palette over here. So I want to change this to red or something, so right. Next, let's see, we can do in the box below here, select the number that is not a composite number. Okay, so looking for prime numbers. So if you want to use a shape, you can use a shape to encircle one of the numbers here, right? So it can be like this. And again, you can enlarge your shape or you can make it small, as the case may be. And if you find that that line is too thick, you can come to the size and change the size of the or the weight, the weight of the line. So you can change it to about there. Okay, you can also fill the shape with something, so you can fill it with a solid color. So the solid color inside would be color number 2. So whatever you select to be color number 2 would be, then you can fill it with a crayon marker. Different effects you can have, but of course for the purpose we have here, we want to keep it not filled, right? So you can even use a square to select and to highlight. You can use any of these shapes here. Obviously you wouldn't want to use a line or a curved line. Now let's say that we have a question and we're going to solve the question. So let's say we have, I'm just going to type in, I'm going to put in a text box here, switch back to black, and we want to say 23 multiplied by 12 equals. So we want to solve that. Now what I would do typically is that I would select this tool here called pencil, maybe change it to not the thinnest one but the second thinnest, and we can draw. So when you are drawing, typically you would want to use the smoothest motion as possible. So if you are comfortable using a mouse instead of the touchpad on your laptop, feel free to go ahead and switch over to a mouse instead of using the touchpad on the laptop, you can use like a USB mouse, right? So let's see, we have 23 multiplied by 12, right? And you can solve it. You can probably, as you're doing the working, you can switch to a different color. So let's switch to like a blue or something. So right, 1 3 is 3, 1 2 is 2, 3 2s are 6, 2 2s are 4, right? And you can do your working like that. You add 276. You could even put the answer in a different color. So you might put the answer in a different color to highlight it. So that's how I would use it for mathematics purposes. Now I'll teach you all another trick that I really like it. Sometimes you might not have pictures, you might have it on a Word document, so like this. And what you can do is, on your computer there's a button called Control and Print Screen. So there are two buttons, Control and Print Screen. You press any two of them at the same time. So I'm just gonna press the two of them at the same time. Usually they're next to one another, and you will see you can paste it on to the Paint document now, and you will see the entire screen has been basically screenshotted. And you can use this, you can write on it little, just like how we did just now with the pencil and so on. You can use your shapes, you can use your brushes. So if you find the pencil is too thin, perhaps maybe your document is really large and the picture came out really large, you can use also a paintbrush. So you can select the brushes here. So we have this thin paintbrush. It's a more opaque paintbrush. These are a bit less opaque than this one, and we have those gives it an effect like a felt tip pen. We have an effect like an airbrush. We also have the crayon effect, and we have the marker effect, and of course the colored pencil effect, which is basically the same thing as the pencil that we used just now. And should, in case you make a mistake, so let's say we've marked something here, 24 whatever, we can also erase that mistake. So we select the eraser right underneath the pencil, and you can also change the size of the eraser, and you can erase as you go along. So that's one option of deleting your mistakes. Or you can go to this rectangular icon here that says select. You can click on it, highlight, or go over whatever you want to delete, and you can cut it. You can cut it like that. And well, once you've cut it, you can also paste it back, so it could come back as well. As the word cut is there, the word copy is also there, so you can also copy and paste whatever you select. So you can copy and paste how many times you want. The other option that you have to delete some errors that you may have made in case is to undo. So we're going way up to the top of the screen. On top of the word home, there's a blue arrow. You can undo until you have reached where you want to reach back to. So those are some tips on how to get rid of some of your errors if you have made errors during your teaching. So that's that. Also, make sure that when you are writing, make sure that you write legibly, so that your students, especially if you're using this pencil, write legibly so that your students are able to understand, and they would be able to screenshot as well. Okay, right. And sometimes you may want to do some geometry. We're dealing with shapes. So let's say, for instance, let me clear this from the screen so that we can have some space. See, I'm selecting the entire document, the entire picture, and I'm going to cut it. So the entire thing is deleted now. And in case you want to put it back, or in case you have undid something, you can also click redo to put it back, right? As I was saying, sometimes you might want to be dealing with shapes in geometry. So let's assume we have this arrow here and we want to turn it to a certain number of degrees. So we can also rotate these shapes, and I love to do this with the 2D shapes when you're doing the geometry. We can rotate 90 degrees, so you can see what the shape looks like at 90 degrees. You can rotate it another 90 degrees. You can rotate it a full 180 degrees. You can flip the shape. So let's use a different shape then, because this is symmetrical. Let's say we use this speech bubble here, and we select it, and we can flip the shape vertically, or we can flip it horizontally now. So those are some options that we can do, and I love to do this with geometry. So you all can try it out, especially those questions that come up with those shapes and so on. Let's try an English language arts paper now. So let me pull up an English language arts paper so you can see how we can work them either way. Right, so we have a section here that requires us to fill in punctuation and capitalization. Now, the picture quality is not that great here, but that's how the camera took it out, so we can't really help that. So, in our island, Carnival is a wonderful mixture. So, we want to add a comma here, so you can add your text box, you can add your comma, of course in a different color to highlight it, so that you can highlight it. So this is really handy when you're working through things and working through papers with your students. In our island, Carnival is a wonderful mixture of music, theater, and dance. So after the word dance, you want to add a full stop right there. Our people say that is the greatest show on earth. Now, of course, that's a bit big, so we want to reduce the size of that. So that's how I would do that for language arts, but you can use it and adapt it to any subject area that you feel necessary. Now, throughout this entire video, you might be wondering, how on earth does this tie into online teaching? Well, I'll tell you. So if you remember from our previous video, we would have talked about using the present screen when we use Google Meet. So when we can present our screen to this, and it will show live of everything that you're doing. So you can check out that video. The link is in the description below, so please go and check it out. And if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so that you can get regular updates. And you can also share this video with your peers, colleagues, and fellow teachers. So until next time, take care.